So I think by the time the presentation is up, maybe I'll just start off with a quick introduction of what we do and where we are. I'm Arun. I'm co-founder of SharpSell. So we are a sales enablement company where the focus is primarily on enabling sales teams to have better conversation with their customers. I think right now we were talking about a lot about hyper-personalization, and I think we kind of help get some shortcuts to the hyper-personalization part. Yeah, this is the one. Thanks. Okay. So I think a brief history. I think we started in 2010 as a learning tech company where the focus was primarily on helping CXOs, CEOs learn better. So then they really liked what we did. So we did something using business simulations. So they really liked what we did. Then we started working with middle managers. They liked what we did. Then when we started working with frontline teams, we realized that a lot of what worked with CXOs, CEOs, and senior managers did not really work with people on the front line. And when we tried to understand why, we said we have to kind of get much closer to them. So we kind of created a few mobile learning modules. So we rolled out a few mobile learning modules, gave it out to people. And what we saw was people did these modules for about 2-3 days. And after that, they would stop doing it. And when we tried to understand why, people came back saying, time hi nahi hai mere paas, ghumta rehta hu pura din. So we said, no problem, let's kind of shadow you guys to understand how, we can really help you. And when we shadowed a lot of people, we found two things. One, there was a lot of time that people had. People would kind of spend time yapping with friends, have extended tea breaks, but wouldn't spend this 5 minutes to learn. And when we tried to, check with them at the end of the day saying, bhaiya, time to hai, kya hua? People shot back with two answers. First is they said, yaar, ye sab gyan hai. So don't give me all this gyan. Help me sell, then we'll talk. Otherwise, anything which does not carry danda is not something that is of interest to me. The second thing that they came back was, they said, I want to look like an expert, to the customer, because a lot of times customers keep saying no. So their question was, help me look like my boss's boss. Because when my boss's boss comes in, everybody kind of gives him or her attention. Everybody looks at what they are doing. So help me be there, then we'll talk. Otherwise, this is all like corporate propaganda, which I don't really want to be part of. And that's where, we kind of spent a lot more time on the field. One of my other partners, he actually took up an LIC agency, worked with LIC agents to understand how people sell insurance. I myself have gone on field visits to more than 20 plus small towns in India, worked with financial advisors to see how people actually sell financial service products. And we kind of created SharpSell for salespeople specifically post that. So what has been our learning from SharpSell, or what has been our understanding? I think so. Before that, I think we'll talk about why you should hear what we are saying. So I think we've got a lot of global recognitions, Brandon Hall Award, Stevie Award for sales enablement and technology, where a lot of global players have recognized us as one of the top tech providers for sales enablement. And we work with a lot of companies in BFSI. So a small indication of the kind of companies we work with. So we work across with banks, insurance companies, NBFCs, insurance brokers alike. So what do we really do? So what we really do is to say, how do you kind of, you have a buyer, you have a seller. A CRM would probably tell that, hey, when somebody is out there wanting to buy, it will say, please go and talk to this person X. So what do you do when you go to that person X is where we come in. So question is, when a salesperson goes and talks to a customer, they want to look like an expert. So how do you kind of help them look like the expert when they're in front of the customer? And how do you help them look like an expert when they are not in front of the customer is where we really focus on. So when we looked at what issues, like I said, when we spent time on the field, we looked at what do salespeople really need? And when we looked at it, different functions had different thoughts on what salespeople need. L&D function will say, hey, I think my sales guys need this. Marketing will say, you know what, this is what I'm giving my sales team. Sales will say, I'm going to do certain other things. But what we really saw was, one, for people who come into the role, sales is never a dream job for, most people. So most people in sales end up there because, that was probably the first opportunity that they came across, or that was the only opportunity that they came across. So this is most of your early stage sales teams. The second is that your engagement with sales teams is fairly low. You typically are distributed people across the horizon. So there's a lot of question in terms of saying, what are they really doing? Are they even engaged? Are they able to really do something, which might matter to us, etc., etc. And the third point is, because of the first two, because you never really wanted this job, because I don't know if you're really engaged, what is happening to the productivity of a salesperson? And typically in BFSI, you talk about, attrition levels are super duper high. So I think especially in NBFC or, some of your off-roll banking is the first time we have heard people talk about monthly attrition numbers. The only time we've heard that before was with BPOs, where people talk about monthly attrition numbers. So the question was, how do you really look at productivity? How do you really look at, reducing the infant attrition, etc. is where we looked at. And to solve these problems, we said we'll have to look at what are the real challenges that they face. So a lot of times people say communication skills nahi hai, you're not able to explain the product, etc. But we broadly categorize them into 5 different points. So first is people don't have industry and product knowledge. And when I say product knowledge, it is not just about your specific product, but a lot of times people are new to the industry in itself. People don't have no idea of insurance. People have no idea of, let's say, what documentation in an asset product is, etc., etc. So when you go and talk to the customer is able to see through. Or worst case, customer kind of buys into your pitch, but then realizes that what you have pitched actually is not what is being sold, because you have told something which really doesn't exist. The next is, even if you know the product, are you able to really communicate what the product means to the customer? I mean, you might really know something, but is there, has the customer understood it the same way that your product really is, or the way you have it in your mind? So a lot of people are not able to make this pitch. They're not able to manage customer expectations. For example, a simple thing like, just texting a customer when you're late. Or telling the customer that when you say that you're going to kind of get back in 2 days, you actually get back in 2 days. So how do you really kind of help people understand all these softer things? Because if they're not able to close the loop, a customer is going to lose confidence and move on. And they don't really have, the objection handling part is not something that people see as a learned skill. They look at it as a acquired skill, where the attitude is to say, boss, let me go out there, let me face objections, and then I'll learn from my own experiences. I don't really give a damn about what other people have gone through. So this is a, this is a common bottom line that we have seen. And the most important part is that there are very limited resources to educate customers. And I'm not talking about educating your own salesperson, because there's a lot of stuff that keeps going on. You have training programs, you have digital learning, online learning. But the most important part from our point of view is, how are you really going to educate the customer? And that solves 2 problems for you. One, the customer comes up to speed for your product. And second is, your sales guy starts looking like an expert. And the onus of explaining everything is not just on the individual, but it is also on the support system that you're giving him or her. So that makes it very important. And when we looked at how we are going to solve for these problems, and when we spoke to like more than 1,000 people on the field, we realized that there is no one solution that fits all. Because there are 2 key factors that kind of dictated how people are going to sell. So one is your buyer maturity, and other is your seller maturity. Because when you talk about your buyer, it's a spectrum. It keeps going from low to high. There are a lot of stages in between. But just to keep it simple, when you talk about your buyer maturity, sometimes your buyers have low maturity in buying this specific category of product, which means they don't know what the product is. They don't know what the category is.
Many congratulations. Our next award goes to Priya Deshmukh Gilbile, Chief Operating Officer, Manipal Cigna Health Insurance.
In one line, major achievement of last 2 years as an organization.
First and foremost, thank you, Elets, thank you, Raviji, and the august audience here. One line, basically, we brought our purpose to life during COVID by standing there for our consumers, our employees, and the society, the entire India. So that's what blazes our heart. And it's very heartwarming that our purpose is aligned to the larger good of the citizens of India, is what I would say. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much. Many congratulations. And thank you, Mr. Mahadak, for joining us. Thank you so much. Joining us now to give the next set of awards is Mr. Siddhartha Pandey, Country Lead Lead for Digital Services and Operations Management, BMC Software. Welcome, sir. Our next winner is Abhijit Bhattacharjee, Chief Information Officer, Utkarsh Small Finance Bank. Mr. Abhijit, is he here? I guess he's not here. All right, then I'll move on to our next winner. And he is Bala Chendal P, Business Head, Digital Acquisition, Ambit Finvest Private Limited.
Major achievement in terms of the digital acquisition which you handle in last 2 years of COVID, if you can explain in a line of words.
So we are in lending business. Ambit is in lending business, and during COVID we realized that digital acquisition is very important, and therefore we have taken a lot of investment and efforts to develop software where we can do lending within 5 minutes to a businessman. Till now, people were lending only to salaried, but now businessmen are also started getting money in 5 minutes in any part of the country without too much of paperwork. At least unsecured loans are being now given in no time, real time, without any efforts. Thank you.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Congratulations to you again.
And thank you, Mr. Siddhartha, for joining us. Thank you so much. Now, ladies and gentlemen, joining us to give the next awards is Mr. Zubair Alam, BU Head, Enterprise Business, Dell EMC, Reddington, India Limited. Welcome, sir. Our next winner is Mr. Prasanna Lohar, Vice President, Technology, Digital Innovation and Architecture, DCB Bank. Ladies and gentlemen, let's make it loud and proud. Come on, everybody, put your hands together.
Requesting you to say few words, and especially the digital transformation in the last 2 years.
Yeah, thank you. And first of all, thank you very much, Elets Technomedia, for bringing this in-person event. And lots of kudos to all the organizer members out here. I keep interacting with them day-to-day basis. I think last year was a very fantastic year for most of the banks, most of the organizations out here in India, outside of India. Digital index or a transformation index has gone multifold. And the leadership roles are also changing here onwards. More of a people engagement, more of a technology adoption is happening. We are also part of that journey at a DCB Bank. Look forward to collaborate, innovate with all the ecosystem we have seen outside, and all those partners who has really helped to make everything happen for banks, directly, indirectly for customer expectations. I think it's a challenging role here onwards. Customer behavior is changing. So once again, thank you so much, Elets Technomedia, for awarding all the BFSI leadership out here. On behalf of DCB Bank, it's great and humble to receive these awards. Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Many congratulations. And now our next award goes to Mr. Sumanta Ghosh, Chief Information Officer, Egon Life Insurance.
Yeah, I'm really humbled and grateful to Elets. It's been last few years journey has been fantastic. We were into the cloud adoption game heavily from the year 2019. So now we are into making the decisioning on bit data driven and artificial intelligence driven. We are trying to do that. Till now, one-liner for what we are doing is, लग रहा है सफर खूबसूरत है मंजिल से भी. So.
Very nice.
Many congratulations to you, sir. Our next winner is Mr. Rajaram Manyan B, Head Credit and Risk, Rural Retail and Housing, Adani Capital.
Thank you, Raviji, and thank you, Elets. I think Adani Capital has been there for last almost 5 years. I think, if I have to summarize last 2 years, we have converted challenges into opportunities and opportunities into innovation. I think that's what we've done in the last 3 years. And also, we always consider there is a risk in the business. I think we've made risk as itself a business. So I think that's the way digitization and innovation has helped us. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Many congratulations to you, sir.
Risk है तो इश्क है. क्या बात है. Very nice.
Our next winner is Mr. Dominic Vijay Kumar, Vice President and Chief Technology Officer, Art Housing Finance India Limited.
Increased by 40%. But what we also saw was the persistency of people also went up quite a lot, which means typically for an insurance company, an advisor comes in, they sell one policy and they move out. So the question that the company had was, somebody is selling one policy and they're active for 1 month in the first 3 months. So can you ensure that people are active again and again? Because that one policy is typically what you call a selfie policy. You come take a policy for yourself, you take policy for your wife, kids, etc. So the question was, can you ensure that people are active, not just in terms of policies, but they're active for more time with us? And we were able to, at the end of 3 months, we were able to kind of, have their persistency go up by about 2.5 times, which means earlier you had about 1% of people who are active for post 3 months. Now you had 2.5% of people who are active, which means the number of people active for continuously for 3 months actually went up, which is what was very important for clients, because that's what builds the base for you of people who are going to keep continuously giving business. And we were also able to do an exercise where we were able to use SharpSell to identify 10,000 dormant agents who are engaged, who wanted to sell but are not selling. So for whatever reason, they wouldn't do business with you, either because they're working with some other company or they kind of, were not able to cross a chasm where they were able to sell a policy. So we were able to help identify 10,000 plus advisors for them who were actively interested in selling but couldn't sell, and then there were special activities taken on to figure out how we could engage with them again. And we did this by doing a lot of things that we spoke about earlier in terms of engaging agents, keeping them engaged, helping them find a suitable solution for a specific customer, which is all about saying, how do I marry my customer's story or customer's need to my product, and how do I kind of pitch it back to them? And one of the other things that we did was to not just do it for employees, but also extend it to advisors. Because advisor population is fairly tricky, because they owe nothing to you. They come in, they are part of your organization, but it's a no commitment relationship. If I want, I'll work. If I don't want, I'll not work. So one of the biggest challenge was to get advisors to come into the system, and we saw tremendous success there, where in this we had more than 60% of advisors engaging with us, which was like a never seen number for the company. And we were able to show that people who engaged were also like some 60% more productive than the people who weren't. So I think this is broadly a quick summary of what SharpSell has done for our clients. And so and the whole idea here is, how do you kind of make SharpSell behave and look differently for different sellers out there, is what the focus is. So even though we talk about personalization for the end customer, there's also a tremendous amount of personalization that happens for the seller out there who's using it based on where they stand. So it's not about asking survey questions saying, hey, are you good at selling? It's not about just looking at numbers. It's about intuitively being, giving them what they want when they are in the field in a form that they can use, so that they come back to the platform again and again. So we have, we have more than 90% of our users come back to the platform on a week-on-week basis, even though SharpSell for a lot of our clients is not a mandatory tool. So with certain clients, the process is end-to-end integrated. With a lot of our clients, it is still a standalone function where the integrations downstream is not super heavy. But you still have users coming back to it again and again because they really see the benefit of using SharpSell and selling to their customers. So with this, I will conclude my session. So we are kind of waiting out there in the SharpSell booth. You turn right, third booth on the right. And in case you want to understand how SharpSell has helped some of our clients, or you want to know how SharpSell can really help you, we'd be happy to talk to you. So thanks a lot for your time. Really appreciate this. Yeah.